Hi everybody. As promised yesterday, I wanted to come back today and do another video to talk about my phlebotomy today. So this was the first time I had ever had a phlebotomy, and it went really, really well. I was in and out of there within half an hour. They got a good line, and I was flowing really well. She did have me kind of squeeze a ball at one point because I was starting to clot a bit. So, but once I started squeezing the ball, things continued to flow really well. They did take out 500 cc's, which from what I can tell, I think that's pretty average. And I asked them what my hematocrit was before the phlebotomy, and it was actually pretty close to 45. It was 46.4, I think, something like that. So hopefully I don't have to have a lot of them in the near future. For now, my hematologist has set me up on a weekly schedule, but I imagine after the next one, I probably won't need to have them weekly. So yeah, it went really, really well. I, of course, had juice while I was doing it, and then I had water beforehand and stayed really hydrated afterwards as well. And I didn't have any noticeable side effects. I didn't experience any headaches, any dizziness. My extremities didn't get cold. So yeah, I think it went really, really well. I also wanted to talk a little bit about my bone marrow biopsy from yesterday. So I uploaded a relatively quick update yesterday after I had that done. And I didn't really go in depth because I wanted to keep it short. But I thought I'd go back and talk about it a little bit. So as I said in my video yesterday, I did feel it was quite painful. Now, again, that was my experience, and everyone has a different pain threshold, and everyone, obviously, the procedure may go a little differently depending on who's doing it. So that's a factor. And also, I have hip pain on a regular basis. So and my hip pain right now is worse on my left side. And that's actually the side that I asked them to do the biopsy in, because my logic was I want to be able to have at least one good hip to lie on when I'm in bed or whatever. So that's what they did. They did do it on the left side. So like I said, it was already painful. So maybe that added and kind of exacerbated the pain that I was experiencing. I went in there for, my appointment was at 7:30 in the morning at the hospital. And I live in Canada, by the way. I live in Ontario, Canada. And for any of you that may be watching this, if you happen to live in Ontario, Canada, we actually had a blizzard yesterday morning. A pretty severe storm watch, blizzard warning. The visibility was horrible driving. My husband went with me and he drove. So that was the start. I was already anxious, obviously, about going to get the procedure done. So that didn't really, that just added to the anxiety. So we actually left the house at 6:30 in the morning, and normally it only takes us about 20 minutes to get to the hospital, but I wanted to make sure that, we had extra time and stuff. So we did get there right at like 25 after 7, so it did take us nearly an hour to get there. We checked in, and the nurse was already there, as well as the patient clerk. And the doctor, we were just waiting on her to arrive. She actually had just been away in Portugal, so we weren't even sure if her flight had made it in. But she did show up fairly quickly after that. and so I basically just changed into the gown. You know, you get prepped, you get ready. They get all their, you know, supplies in order. The lab tech showed up to do the slides. I guess as soon as the sample comes out, they do the slides. So they were there, and then basically she just got started. She gave me the local freezing. So, and I know some people, for a wide variety of reasons, some people may actually have anesthesia, and they may be put, I don't want to say put to sleep. They may go to sleep for the procedure. And, you know, I think most times they do it if they can. If there's no other circumstances that prevent them, they will do it with just local freezing. So that's what I had done. And I, as I said yesterday, I had both the fluid, the aspirate, and I had the solid bone marrow, or the piece of bone where they just take out a little slice of bone. So the freezing itself, she was really good. Like, she just kind of went under the skin at first just to kind of numb it, and then she went a little deeper and then a little deeper until she got all the way to the bone. And that was relatively quick. And then once she started the actual procedure with, you know, where they're twisting in the device, the pain, I'd say, was probably about a 5 to a 6. Like, it was moderate pain, but it was tolerable, and it was mostly like pressure. But then once she got to the bone and she started to twist the device, and it was hitting the bone and she's kind of entering the bone, you feel it clicking on the bone. Like, you feel that thing going in. Again, it's obviously painful, but it's tolerable. And then once they do the aspirate, that is by far the for me anyway, that was the worst part. And when they're drawing out this syringe to kind of like pull out the fluid, it's not like a quick draw. It lasted probably, I'd say, a good 10 seconds. And so you're feeling this, like, it's almost like a painful electric shock running through your whole leg and your hip, like right down. So that was bad. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, people. I mean, I YouTubed bone marrow biopsies, and I watched some people who are sitting on their phone getting this done, just having a conversation, like they don't have a care in the world. And then I seen other videos where it was, I think, more like my experience, where people are like clenched and they're like, you know, squeezing a pillow or holding someone's hand, and they're just gritting their teeth and kind of bearing down with everything they got. That was my experience. I didn't scream or anything. I mean, and I'm 49, and I've had 2 kids, so I felt pain. And like I said, everyone's pain threshold's different. Everyone's experience is their own, and maybe what's painful to someone isn't necessarily painful to another. But anyway, it's definitely doable, and it's fairly, like, the most painful parts of getting a bone marrow biopsy. I don't know why I can't talk. It's fairly quick. Like, I'd say a couple of minutes tops when you're experiencing the worst pain, if that, maybe even a minute. And then when it's all over and done, you're just like, oh, thank God. I did it, right? And you just, that's out of the way. So yeah, I mean, if I had to do another one, I would still be anxious about it, because now I know what to expect. It's not better than, it pretty much lived up to the fears that I had, but you know, it's doable and you get through it. So yeah, it's done, and I'm just glad it's done. So anyway, I just I wanted to update everyone, and I also wanted to take a minute to say thank you to Taralee. And I don't know, I think if you found me on YouTube, you probably came across Taralee. She has a channel called Nine and Vine. She's a PV patient and an NPN advocate, and I love watching her videos. When I was diagnosed, that's the first thing I did, was kind of go out there and look for other people that were going through this disease and what their experiences were like. And there are a lot of sites like Voices of NPN and stuff where you can see videos and people's stories, but it's a production video, right? So you don't kind of get to follow them on a regular basis and see what their experiences are, their ups, their downs, what their day-to-day is kind of like. And that's kind of what I was looking for when I was diagnosed. So I came across Taralee, and I love her channel. She's very upbeat, and she's very real about, you know, like I said, the good, the bad, and everything in between. So I just wanted to give her a shout out. So if you haven't checked out her videos, please do so. And until next time, I will be back around the 13th when I get my bone marrow biopsy results, just to kind of share those. And till then, keep well and take care. Bye for now.